Hey everybody, Karyn Bryant for MAHE talking with Aljamain Sterling, who of course is fighting Pedro Munhoz at UFC 238. Looking swole! Look at that! So the hard work is done. You're just coasting now to the fight, yeah?
For the most part, I got that wrestling mentality. We kind of go hard almost all the way up until the matches, but not hard with like hard sparring, but the training sessions are still pretty intense. They're just a lot shorter.
Yeah. So what are you expecting with Pedro? Well, we'll get to the smack talk after, but just straight up in the fight wise, because your records are almost just the same. You're 17-3, right? He's 18-3. You have some common opponents and stuff. So how do you see him as an opponent?
I don't even know what my record is. Am I 18-3?
I think
don't
so.
know.
You're either one of you is 17-3 and one is 18-3, I think.
I have no idea. But yeah, we pretty much got the same amount of fights. We got into UFC the same day. We made the debuts the same day.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because we actually talked about training together in the past. And I wanted to as much as I wanted to, but I knew at some point our paths might cross. Because I always felt like he was going to be top talent and a tough competitor. He was going to be around just as long as I planned to be around. And here we are today, fast forward a couple of years, and we're both ranked third and fourth respectively. And he's a tough dude, and I can't wait to go out there and make it look easy.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing, you're on a winning streak. So I'm curious what your mindset is with that. Like, have you noticed something change in your brain or in your training or something that you were able to shake off a couple losses and then go on a nice streak?
Yeah, I think each loss taught me something pretty valuable.
Yeah.
Brian Caraway told me not to do 3 warm-ups the day of the match, in the day of the fight. You get tired.
Yeah.
No matter how well in shape that you're in. The Sun South fight, I let the media play too much of a role in my style of fighting, and it didn't suit me well not to utilize my wrestling, even though I thought I did well in the stand-up department. It just wasn't enough to separate the gap to get the nod in 2 of the judges' eyes, and that was another split decision loss. And I rattled off 2 wins after that. I opened up with my striking, and then I ran into Marlon's knee, taking a shot without setting it up, and I paid the ultimate price. And I learned not to look past my opponent. I kind of thought that Marlon didn't have the goods for me, and sure enough, he proved me otherwise, And like I said, I learned a valuable lesson in that, the hard way, literally.
Right.
And I think after that, I kind of just stopped caring. I think it realized, I know what I'm good at. I'm a veteran now. I'm experienced. I've been in there with the best of the best in the world at this point. And at the end of the day, the only competition is myself. If I go out there and open up, the worst thing that could possibly happen can happen to me. At this point, it's kind of like, well, what's the worst that can happen?
Right.
That was the worst of it. So go out there, have fun, and do what you do in training, and just let loose.
Yeah, it's funny because we were just talking about that fight, yours and Marlon's on UFC Now, and we were talking about how the fact that the knee wasn't even really on purpose in a way. Like it was this crazy thing that came, and stuff happens. I feel like you had the right approach. I mean, you were really cool about the pictures after. You never pretended like it didn't happen.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I'm like, you're gonna either run from it or you're gonna just acknowledge that I know it happened. There's nothing I can do about that.
Right.
As much as I would like to erase that from history, it's always gonna be part of there, and it helped me grow. To be honest, I really do feel that helped me grow as a fighter. I had a tough opponent on my first fight back. Brett John's undefeated, big prospect. The UFC was pumping him up. He submitted Joe Soto in I think less than 2 minutes, and I trained with Joe Soto, and he killed me on the ground. That was in 2014, but it's still a fact that he killed me on the ground. I know I got a lot better since then, but I was a little nervous about that one. But I went out there, and then I shut him down from beginning to end, and it let me know I truly do belong at the top of the pack, and it gave me more reassurance to let me know I really do belong here, and I really do think I have everything. I think I have the goods to become a world champion. I just got to go out there and prove it on the night.
Well, you definitely belong. You definitely belong. But you mentioned a second ago, in the past, maybe you've gone headhunting, right, for a more exciting fight, and then it didn't go your way. And lately, you've been vocal about just saying, "Look, I am what I am. I'm gonna use my wrestling. You just got to deal with it," which Of course you should use your wrestling. Like, why wouldn't you? But, in light of guys getting cut now with winning records, how much does that play on your mind, the idea that you have to also be exciting?
A little bit. At the end of the day, I think my style is exciting. It might not be the most appealing and marketable to the UFC brass unless I get a finish. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, I'm trying to finish. It's not like I'm not trying to finish the fight. It's not like I'm hitting these guys and running away. I'm sitting in the pocket more. I'm making the fight ugly. I'm trying to do what I could do. If I could get the fight down to the ground, it's a bad night for anybody. So for anyone to even criticize my style, I don't get it. It's either you just like barroom fights, you like the Pedro Munhoz versus Cody Garbrandt 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 fight series that it's going to always end up in a finish in probably the first round. Well, that's not my style of fight. I'm a more like a Kamaru Usman. I'm more like a Damian Maia. Get on your back and it's a wrap, So that's my mindset and that's my mentality going forward. If you can appreciate the art of wrestling and jiu-jitsu, then it sucks to be you, because let me get a hold of you and give you a piece of this and see what happens. See what you think about it then.
Right. Well, that's what I was just going to say. There are a lot of us, though, who love that. You know what I mean? So it's a pretty general thing to say that everybody wants you guys to just bite down and throw down. It's not always that, right? We like to see people who are very good at what they do. But so let's get to the Pedro thing. Like, you guys have been going back and forth on Twitter a little bit. Was that a conscious decision to try to get under his skin, or were you like literally just being honest about something and then he took it the wrong way?
I was being honest about something. He took it the wrong way. That's completely on him. Yeah. The main thing about that, someone brought it back to my attention. I did remember when it happened, but it completely just slipped my mind. I completely forgot that he popped for something. Right. And as much as he wants to chalk it up to mishandling by the commission, the facts still remain. Your T levels were high. Yeah. And there's no real way for him to explain that besides saying, well, sometimes they're higher if you sleep an extra hour. I'm like, really, Pedro? You're training for a big fight. You're going through a hard training camp. And I know you guys train pretty hard at Black House. Yeah. And you're going to try to tell me that you slept an extra hour and your T levels were that high? Come on, buddy. Like, who are you fooling right now? Yeah. What they had, I think they had 3 or 4 guys that same year that popped for a very similar substance or something. They all popped for PEDs within that same fight camp. So again, the facts remain. I wasn't making stories up. I wasn't fabricating anything. I was just saying whatever happened with that story, because I never actually, I really didn't know what happened. Right. He served his suspension and that was it. And everyone kind of just brushed it under the rug. And I'm not saying he's cheating now. I'm not saying he did cheat, but something did come up. Right. And he took it the wrong way. He wanted to start calling me whatever he wanted to call me. And at the end of the day, this is no place for emotion. I'm going to prove that to him on the night.
Well, that's what I was just going to ask, because, that can go a couple of ways when you get emotional about something. And I'm not saying either of you necessarily are, but he seems, now like that comment lit a fire under his ass now, because he's the one out here talking, calling, like you said, calling you names, doing what I'm going to do to this P word and that, and the other thing. So it seems like it has bothered him.
Yeah, it's cute. I like this look on Pedro. I've never seen him like this before. It's actually very fitting. And I think it shows his true colors. He tries to come off like he's this really polite, humble, nice guy. Yeah. But this kind of shows the real person that he is. And at the end of the day, people are going to see through that. So win or lose, I'm going to be comfortable with who I am and what I've done behind closed doors. At the end of the day, he's got to live with whatever he's done in his past, the future, and the present. So I really don't give a shit. My main goal right now is to beat the shit out of him come June 8th.
Well, it's such a great card, and you guys are on the prelims. Of course, I don't know if that bothers you at all. I mean, like, some people really get upset where they are on the card, and some people don't. Does that bother you at all?
It doesn't bother me. It's a little annoying. It's more like I don't know if it's just a way to disrespect us or disrespect me. Not really disrespect, but to slight me, to say like, you're good, but you're not what we want to put out in front of the mainstream fans who are going to purchase the pay-per-view. I don't know if that's what it is. So I don't know if they're doing themselves a favor by putting more eyeballs on me by keeping me on the ESPN slot.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Yeah.
I'm a glass half full type of guy, so I find the positives in anything, and no one can ever break, rattle me, or shake my confidence. I'm comfortable in my own skin, and it's what it is. At the end of the day, like I said before, you can't keep a star from shining. So ESPN, pay-per-view, main card, the UFC is going to have a new star on June 8th.
Well, yeah, I mean, I would argue that, yeah, being on the prelim sometimes they put good fights there because you guys are the advertisement, so
yeah.
being on the ESPN prelims is not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah, the last time it was Jimmie Rivera and I.
Yeah.
And Jimmie Rivera versus Dotson, myself versus Cody Stamann on the Dallas card, UFC 228. And that was another stat card. There was a fight that fell off of the main card, and I was the headliner over Rivera on the prelims, and he jumped me with the Dotson fight to get on the main card slot. Yeah. And that fight couldn't have been any more boring than I've ever, and it was completely a stand-up fight. And it's just like, I don't know, you don't know what you're going to get. The fights are the fights on paper, and you never know. Maybe Pedro's the guy who's going to bring out a rock'em sock'em robot fight out of me, but I still believe I'm too intelligent to fight like that. But you just never know what's going to happen. You never know what you're going to feel when you step in the octagon on the night.
Absolutely. Well, one question I have for you, I'm curious if this is getting easier for you or more difficult. You feel like sometimes when a fighter first gets into the game, it's difficult to even get your bearings, find out if you're good at stuff. But as you go along, your competition gets more difficult. But so I'm curious, like at this stage in the game, is this the job of being a pro fighter like easier or more difficult these days?
Easier in the terms of dealing with like media obligations and hanging out with the fans and stuff like that. That stuff has gotten easier. I've gotten more comfortable with doing that type of thing. The only thing that's getting harder, honestly, is the weight cut.
Yeah.
And it's, when I'm not training, I'm easily 165, and sometimes heavier than that. And that's not training whatsoever. People think I'm always in shape like this.
Right.
I get pretty heavy for a bantamweight,
Yeah.
And to get down, it's a lot of discipline. Even though I do have my ice cream, my cheat meals here and there, but it's a lot of training. I can't really cut corners in terms of like missing a workout. If I miss a workout, that sets me back a few pounds, which makes it a lot harder come fight week when I have to get those remaining pounds off. And that's the only thing that's getting tougher. Other than that, I still find enjoyment. I'm still a student of the game. I still love learning new things. I think I'm getting better and better each day with my boxing. Mm-hmm. I've been sitting in the pocket a lot more with the training, still keeping my footwork, but being able to pick my shots and know when to weave and slip and look for my counters, look for my openings. And, I really feel like I'm getting smoother with these things. I would love to post my sparring sessions and like even do like Instagram live stuff, kind of like a Floyd Mayweather type of feel. But, it could be a little weird doing that type of thing, especially with your teammates and people that they're gonna be seeing it all the time and that type of thing. But that's how comfortable I'm getting with like just being a professional athlete at this level. It's kind of rewarding, but that's the only way it's getting harder.
Right.
It's just the weight cut.
Right.
But other than that, I'm enjoying it. I've been able to buy 2 houses now. I bought my mom a house after all the ups and downs.
Nice.
I got my own podcast, and I'm living the dream right now. This is the way I'm living the dream. What more can you ask for?
It's great. It's great. So just no rice and peas, no curry goat. That's all. You got to just save that.
Yeah. I had some oxtail last week, and because my weight was pretty low, I weighed out. It was unreal. I weighed out like 47 and a half.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, I know what I'm going to have today. Some pasta, just a little bit, just a little sprinkle here and there, a little bit of gravy, extra gravy on it. So I was able to afford rice and peas and all that good stuff.
Nice. So good. So good. So does that mean, though, that at some point you will have to move up to 45? I mean, do you see that as an eventual obligation?
At some point, this is going to be my 13th fight at bantamweight in the UFC, which is kind of crazy for me to even say that. I always told myself I would love to be in that 20-win club.
Yeah.
I think that would be huge, monumental, and historic. Not a lot of people get to accomplish that. A lot of people will come in to go 2 and done, 3 and done, and to be able to make that run and do that and cement my name in history would be something that will be fulfilling for my own personal legacy. So at some point, I know I will have to go up. if I plan on being around in the sport that long. I do plan on retiring at 32. I'm 29 now. I turned 30 in July 31st.
Okay.
It might sound a little crazy, but I have everything mapped out. Nothing always goes as planned.
Right.
God kind of laughs at us for making plans, but I got everything written out, and I try to speak it into existence, and win the belt, defend a few times, and ride off into the sunset and do my firefighter thing and my real estate mogul thing, and that's it, man. Just have my kids, set them up for the future, and that's the happy ending. Thank you, UFC. Thank you, Dana White. Thank you, Sean Shelby.
Nice. It sounds like a great plan. So listen, speaking of becoming a champion, on the same night, Marlon Moraes is going to be fighting Henry Cejudo for that Bantamweight title. I'm curious what your take is on that. Obviously, Henry was victorious over TJ, the former champ, but that was at 25. You've been in there with Marlon, so I'm not sure who you're expecting to win.
It's really tough to say because here's my thing, and it's no disrespect to Marlon, even though he thinks I'm like acting tough these days. He thinks I'm acting tough. I'm like, I'm just calling it what it is and what you said. If I'm not acting tough, if that's called acting tough, then whatever, bro. But my fight, he called me, and I still believe it was more so what I did than what he did. He threw a kick. I shot into the kick, no setup, from a distance, face first, right on the chin, out. That's like a car crash collision. So when you think about it like that and you actually break it down for what it is, it's hard to analyze that fight. When that fight hit the mat, I was on autopilot. When he hit me behind the ear, he did drop me. That was a legit punch. And I almost caught him in a submission even for whatever the fight was in that 1 minute time frame.
Right.
Fast forward his next fight with Jimmie Rivera. I know they sparred before. He clipped him on the top of the head with the head kick.
Right.
And then he finished him, got behind him, punches and put him out. So that's another fight that's kind of hard. He set that one up, though. So I will acknowledge that. He did set that one up. He does have those tricky lead leg kicks. And he put him out, put him down, and then the fight with Rafael Sunsao. Yeah. But then you look back at his fights with John Dodson. You look back at his fight with Sunsao, the first one.
Right.
And kind of don't – I find it hard to really gauge where he's at because you see those two fights – and people are going to say, well, he's on a new level now. Is he really on a new level, or is luck just really on his side at this point?
Yeah.
That's the way I kind of rationalize it. And I know, like I said, he possesses that one-punch knockout power and kicking power. That's no joke.
Right.
He can hurt you. But if you fight him and not get over-aggressive, I think Sunsao got over-aggressive, which is super out of his nature. He's a counter fighter. Yeah. So, again – not taking anything from Marlon, but it just seems like these fights where he's been hurting guys, it seems like they've been making their own mistakes. But the Jimmie Rivera fight, I do feel like he kind of that was one I could like. That was like a legitimate thing. Like he set it up from beginning to end. You kind of dictate, and that's real skill. That's real technique and fight IQ. But the other ones, it just kind of makes it tough for me to read. Be like, man, you know what? He's so good at this, so I know he's going to be able to accomplish this. That's my only point. Now with Henry Cejudo, he put TJ down in a bad way. Yeah. And he's a phenomenal wrestler, Olympic champ. Did you know he has a gold medal?
Are you serious? Oh my God, I had no idea. That's so interesting. I should look into that. Wow. You learn something new every day.
Yeah. His wrestling, I think it could play a factor if he takes his time. But again, if he rushes in like everybody else has done, it will be a bad night for him. But I do think he does possess some explosiveness in his own right. And coming up from 25, I think he has the speed factor on his side. And but Marlon has really good footwork, tries to do the Frankie-esque sidestep, removing the hand, sidestep, jab, low kick. So I'm a student of the game. Like I said, I break this shit down. But it's a tough fight to call. But other than that, I do think if Marlon catches him, I don't like picking because I do think either guy has the ability to win the fight.
Right.
It's just who goes out there and fights their fight on game night. And we've seen Henry Cejudo, he's a man on fire. If he wins, I beat Pedro, I think there's no denying that I get the title shot. So may the best man win.
And that's the thing. They haven't really officially called yours a title eliminator, but essentially that's what you think it is, right? And we all know it is.
Yeah. I mean, if it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck.
yeah. Hear a lot of quacking over here.
Yeah, I really don't know. It's at the end of the day, the UFC does what the UFC does. They call the shots the way they see fit. Who's going to be able to bring the most eyeballs in whatever fight they can market the best. And I'm no fool to not. I'm not naive to that. So I know what it is. I gotta go out there and I gotta look good. But ultimately, at the end of the day, the main goal is getting my hand raised. And if Pedro is able to bring some goods that that I haven't seen on tape that can trip me up, and I got to figure out another way to grind out a win, I'll do just that, you know. But at the end of the day, I'm looking to put that guy on his back, drop some elbows, and it's going to be a bad night for Pedro Munhoz.
Yep. All right. Well, I love it. I love your confidence. You know, it's funny because I feel like I remember the first time I met, it was a post-fight thing, and you had your chain on, and it was like years ago, and I just remember I was like, I like this kid. I mean, and that's the thing. Like, you know, it's not even just about what happens in the octagon anymore, right? So I just think you're doing everything right in terms of staying active, social media wise, and like you've established yourself as a very specific person. You know what I mean? It's like you have Aljamain Sterling fans. Like people know what they're coming to see. It's specific. It's not just another guy. So I think you're doing a lot of right things. So keep it up.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, awesome. And I'm loving the hair too.
Yeah, I actually just finished cutting it today. I still gotta tighten it up probably, but I just signed with a talent agency, so I got a photo shoot on Sunday.
Nice.
And I know I don't really. I try not to talk about it too much because I don't want people thinking like that's distracting me. It's not. It's really not. It's like tedious stuff, you know. But you know what? Opportunities come knocking. You gotta answer. You gotta answer the call.
Absolutely. Well, I hope to work with you sometime. I know you did work the desk one time at Fox, and I wasn't there, but hopefully one day we can get you up there because my mom, to see two Jamaicans at the desk, will go crazy. You know, you're one of her favorites now because every time I'm like, Mom, the Jamaican guy's fighting. She's like, oh, yeah, and I'm always sending her pictures of you with the flag out there and everything. So, so you know you got another fan right there in my mom.
That's awesome. That's great to hear. Hopefully I could go back this summer or towards the end of the summer and do some more pro bono work. I didn't get to go back last year, and that kind of sucked. But, you know, the last time I went, I got to do, you know, like a 2-week trip just going to gyms, teaching them MMA for free, and I hope I could get to go back and do that again. I'm trying to get, like, some way to figure out how to get, like, training mats down there a little bit cheaper, so we try to build a facility where there's no overhead or essentially almost very little overhead so that guys could have a place to train and develop. There's a lot of talent down there. They just need the opportunity. And I think if I can get things done the right way and make it financially possible for everybody, then I think we could really start something down there for sure.
Yeah, that would be amazing. And it's funny because literally last night I was looking at resorts in Jamaica to go this summer too. And then I was like texting my mom. I'm like, okay, wait, when is the hurricane season? We were like, okay, I think it's July to October. And I was like, okay, I wonder if it's better here now. But like was literally looking last night too because my daughter hasn't been yet. And she's 12 now, and by the time I was 12, I used to go all the time. So I was like, oh my God, we're so overdue. She needs to go to Jamaica. So well, if I go before you or whatever, I'll see what I can find out about gyms, you know.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely.
Awesome. Listen, Aljo, always a pleasure talking to you. Best of luck. I know the fight with Pedro is going to be exciting. And wishing you, you know, just safe travels and have fun out there.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right. See you soon.